Hello and good afternoon. Today I'm making a video on Tory party, the ticking time bomb of Theresa May. We all know, if you have been following Brexit and British politics, that since Brexit the Tory party have failed to negotiate a deal with the EU. Although the EU are claiming that Theresa May has the ball in her court, Theresa May claimed that that is not correct. The ball is in the court of the EU. So neither of them are admitting who's got the ball in their court. But if you watched my prior videos, my previous videos, you will see that I actually prophesied that this deal would not be prosperous. I prophesied that whatever Britain tried to negotiate with the EU would fail. I said that in my previous videos, that whatever Britain tried to negotiate with the EU would fail. And this was during the time when everybody was optimistic that they would have a good deal. But I stuck to my guns and said Britain would suffer because of the attack they've done on Christianity and the promotion of Islam. And I said for that they will have divine judgment upon their shoulders. And so far my prophecy is ringing truth. Everything Britain's trying to do is failing miserably, to such degree that the Tory party has become desperate, really desperate. Theresa May, or even David Cameron, Margaret Thatcher, John Major, William Hague, all who have been Tory Prime Ministers, they have never had a track record, never, in peddling the race card or peddling the rights of ethnic minorities, namely black people. Never. They're all about business and corporate companies and oil. Never did they care about black people. Never. In fact, in the 1960s, 1970s, the conservative slogan used to be, if you want a black for a neighbor, vote Labour. That was their slogan. If you want a black for a neighbor, then vote Labour. And for that, you know, they got into power, but it destroyed them because it destroyed their image. After that, they couldn't get any black votes unless these black people were wealthy and rich and bankers. Other than that, they lost the vote from the average black working class who saw them as a racist party. However, Theresa May, the Tory party, are desperate. They are desperate. Why? Because the British are looking for an answer. They're looking for an answer. What is happening? Now we've got Brexit. What is happening? And they're on their knees, you know, like King Nebuchadnezzar, in the Bible, where God struck, the king on all fours like a savage, like a cow, that he lost his senses and was eating grass. And this is happening at the moment to British politics. They're all on the floor eating grass, like a pack of savages. And the reason being, they have no sense of direction. So when you're in that predicament, you're desperate. You're desperate. And dying man will clutch at straws. Dying man will clutch at straws. Anything to get him out of it. Now, what better way of distracting public attention than peddling the race card? They knew LGBT or feminism, that doesn't work. Why? People don't mind feminism. People don't mind LGBT. People don't mind Islam. I've made videos like in Islam, and people don't mind if they suck their thumb. They don't mind Muslims. Feminism, women's equal pay, people don't mind that. LGBT, people don't mind. And the government knows, if you want to really stir people up and distract their attention, you can always use the WMD, the weapon of mass destruction. Here it comes again, the race card, black and white. That's their favorite card they always use. If in doubt, bring the race card up, because you know they'll get people going. Not LGBT, not feminism, not Islam. They can plot against your life, these Muslims, but that the people don't care about. But black and white issue, and that's the government ace card. Theresa May overnight mentioned that black people were disfranchised, black people were less likely to own their own homes, and putting pressure on corporate companies to lessen their racism. And if they can't show why they're not recruiting black people, they will be punished. I've never even seen Labour talk so fondly of black people. Never! So I'm thinking, what is the Tory party up to? That all of a sudden, like Romeo and Juliet. You know, the black people and Tories are snuggled together like Romeo and Juliet on a bed. Can you imagine? Black people and Tories together in a Romeo and Juliet, flying high, romantically. You think, oh, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And let me tell you what is wrong. The Tory party, or Theresa May, she left that ace card. Why? Because she has no answers for Brexit. She has no answers for all the cap that she's put on public, the workers' salary, and cutting the police force, right? You know, cutting nurses' salary, not giving them 2% rise. She had no answer for any of that. So what did she do? She wanted to create a distraction tactics. And LGBT wouldn't do it, Islam wouldn't do it, and you know, and feminism wouldn't do it. These three forces, people don't mind, they'll bow down to it. You can bomb a white person and they don't care. They'll go to a Muslim restaurant tomorrow and eat same way. So she knew, what can I do to distract white people from Brexit? What can I do to distract them? I know what I'll do. I'll frighten them. I'll pretend I'm going to give all these black people rights, and that way it will distract them from Brexit. These politicians, they know you more than you know yourself. They know your weakness, and they'll exploit you until the cow comes home. Theresa May, she had no intention of improving black situation. Look at her cabinet. Look at her cabinet. Give me 2 seconds. Look at her cabinet. While Theresa May is picking on these white corporate companies, excuse me, while Theresa May is making white people feel guilty, notice her cabinet is full of white males and white females. Not one black person, not even a Chinese, not even an Indian. Not even an Indian. Her cabinet is full of white people. Not one black person. Yet she wants to talk about racism. She wants to talk about, what's the word? Race auditing. Race auditing. She wants to be an angel. Then Theresa May, why is your cabinet all white and full of white females? Feminism. Don't be a hypocrite and peddle the race card when you yourself are not practicing your philosophy, when you yourself are not practicing what you claim you stand for. Anyway, she had, or the Tory party had many years to show what they really stood for, you know, and it's interesting that now Britain is on its knees, failing miserably and having to do business with countries with which can boast having horrific human rights abuses, despite Theresa May claiming that, you know, she wants to be a government that exposes human rights abuses. Yet in the other hand, she wants to do business with countries which has bad human rights abuses. And the reason being is because she failed miserably regarding getting a deal from the EU. She failed miserably with her conference speech when she was coughing all over the place and somebody handed her the P45 suggesting that they get rid of Boris, who wanted to oust her in the back, right? So every movement she's made, she's failed. She's been in power and stuck to power, yet she can't deliver. And suddenly, I'm not sure what PR, what manager told her, use the race card. Use race baiting. Out of nowhere, here's Britain on his knees, fighting for his dear life, and then she brought up racism. It doesn't add up. Think about it. Your country's on its knees in peril. The house prices can suffer. People can lose their jobs. Corporate companies could end up, losing their workers. The Polish workers, Eastern European workers. Yeah, overnight she brought up the race card. Black people having no mortgages, etc. Black people, going through racism in the workplace. It doesn't add up. It's very bad timing. Very bad timing. If she had brought it up when she first got into power, she would have more legitimacy. If she mentioned the racial disparity between black and white economically, but she didn't do it. She waited until she's on her last bed, her deathbed. She waited until she was breathing her last breath. And then suddenly, she decided to bring out the ace card. Let's talk about black people. It's done with distaste, and it's done insensitively because it shows desperation. It shows a woman who is fighting to cling to power. And she'll go against her principles, her integrity, and peddle the race card. If you look at her own cabinet, all white faces, you begin to realize, wait there, woman. If you're going to argue something, at least look legitimate. You have even got one black face, and you're talking about discrimination. First, clean up your own house. Clean up your own House of Commons. Clean up your own party before you tell other white people what to do. You first light that candle of racial peace and love before you tell other white people to do it. You first bring some black MPs into your cabinet before you go peddling the race card. Because all you're doing is causing division, and most of all, you're creating a convenient distraction. You know what you're doing. If I can use this racism out of nowhere, it's a shock tactic. Shock tactic. People's mind becomes strange and fried, and then they forget about Brexit. And it's interesting, on Yahoo search, race auditing came number 2. Not Brexit! Race auditing came number 2. Theresa, this government, I told you in one of my videos, the government, they benefit from racism because then they can use it to their own monopoly. They'll promote LGBT, they'll promote feminism, but they will never promote race peace. Why? Because that is how they control society. That is how they contain revolution. And here we see an example using the race card for their own advantage. Just like they use the police, they use the NHS. Every 5 years when they go for election, you can guarantee it's the NHS or tough on crime, never anything else. Always the NHS uses bargaining chips. Do you think, wait there, is that all you got to offer? Anyway, I'm going to have a drink, so I've got a bit of a cold.